Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melisa Caprio.
Hello, and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, creating the life you crave. How is everybody doing? Today is very, very special. I have author and spiritual teacher Don Miguel Ruiz coming on as my guest, and Don Miguel is going to join me after the first commercial break. So for those of you who don't know who he is, which I'm assuming there may be a few of you who don't, but I think almost everybody knows who he is. Let me just read you a little bit about Don Miguel Ruiz. He's a renowned spiritual teacher, an internationally best-selling author of The 4 Agreements, The Mastery of Love, and many others, including the Toltec Wisdom Series. Combining Toltec mythology and scientific perspectives, Don Miguel has been able to merge ancient wisdom with modern physics and practical common sense, forging a new philosophy for seekers of truth and personal authenticity. Don Miguel has spent the past 3 decades guiding students to personal freedom through his profound insights regarding the nature of human reality. His newest book, The Actor, How to Live an Authentic Life, is part of the Mystery School series written with Barbara Emrys and was published in November of 2020. And if you want to know a little bit more about that, of course, we're going to talk about that today, but also if you go to his website, miguelruiz.com, you're going to see some videos of him talking about The Actor. So it's really, really interesting. I was listening all day as I was getting ready for the show. So I am beyond excited. His book, The 4 Agreements, came out in 1997, and I think it may have been the first book of its kind that I had ever read. I think it was on Oprah Winfrey. He was on the Oprah Winfrey show that introduced me to him. I used to watch her religiously. And we're going to delve into the 4 agreements before he joins us and during his interview, of course. And we're also going to be talking about his newest book, The Actor, that was released in 2020 in November. So next week, I just want to share with you guys, I have a really cool show. Valerie Gilbert is a former attorney in Los Angeles who has been practicing law for 40 years. Emily Groden is a poet. Mother and daughter, co-authors of I Have Been Buried Under Years of Dust, a memoir of autism and hope, are going to be on my show. Born with nonverbal autism, Emily's only means of communicating were limited to one-word answers and physical gestures, which often left her frustrated, angry, and misunderstood. A disastrous intercontinental flight from Ireland to Los Angeles when Emily was 25 triggered a miraculous communication breakthrough. With the help of a trained specialist and a technique called facilitated communication, Emily typed out the following phrase on an iPad. I have been buried under years of dust, and now I have so much to say. That sentence opened up the floodgates of communication, and while Emily is still nonverbal, she hasn't stopped talking. Now, this is really interesting to me because I have a nephew who is on the autism spectrum. So hearing this family's journey, I feel is really important. So I'm very excited to have them on next week. And as you guys know who keep coming back and listening to me, thank you so much for doing that. Each week I share my Magic Monday message of the postcard of the week with its affirmation. And this week's affirmation is Journey of a Goddess. This postcard is very personal from the woman who created it. And what resonated with me so much is her courage and her compassion she has for herself and her journey. I started thinking about women, and especially women who are middle-aged. And by the time we reach 40, most of us, women, have been through a lot. Marriages, divorces, children, our bodies and hormones changing. And we have been through big losses and life changes. And we look at life from a very different perspective than we did when we were in our early 20s just starting out. And as much as, yes, it would be wonderful to have the skin and the body of a 25-year-old, there is a wisdom and confidence that comes and can only come after we get older and have been through some stuff, right? We learn to love and cherish ourselves in deeper ways, and we start to really see and understand the journey of the goddess, and that is who we become. It is so empowering. I mean, think about it. How much did you care what other people thought of you as a young woman to now? And this applies to men too. We would put so much emphasis on what others thought about us, totally disregarding what we thought about ourselves. And the beauty of the journey of a goddess is you really don't care anymore. And I don't mean you pretend not to care. I mean, you could care less what others think of you. And the freedom in that is incredible. And as I've been rereading the 4 agreements over this past week, Don Miguel talks about this a lot with the agreements. Of course, he words it very differently, but learning and incorporating the agreements will shift us into the energy of empowerment and only keep our side of the street clean. And each book he writes, including his latest, just reemphasizes that each of us is love. And when we express ourselves as loving and authentic, that's when we will be happy. So if you want to see what I'm talking about and see my Magic Monday Message postcards, you can go to any of my social media platforms. And if you are interested in reading people's incredible journeys of transformation and inspiration and manifesting, please check out my book, Postcards to the Universe, Harness the Universe's Power and Manifest Your Dreams, which you can find on Amazon and Barnes & Noble or any of your favorite online bookstores. Like I said, Don Miguel will be joining us after the first break. So I want to talk about the 4 agreements. So I want to start with the first agreement, obviously. And I'm going to read the first part of it. So this is quoted from his book. So the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. The first agreement is the most important one, and also the most difficult one to honor. It is so important that with just this first agreement, you will be able to transcend to the level of existence I call heaven on earth. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. It sounds very simple, but it is very, very powerful. Why your word? Your word is the power that you have to create. Here I am. Your word is the gift that comes directly from God. The Gospel of John in the Bible, speaking of the creation of the universe, says, in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was God. And the Word is God. Through the Word, you express your creative power. It is through the Word that you manifest everything. Regardless of what language you speak, your intent manifests through the Word. What you dream, what you feel, and what you really are will all be manifested through the Word. The Word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The Word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. You can speak what other animal on the planet can speak. The Word is the most powerful tool you have as a human. It is the tool of magic. But like a sword with 2 edges, your word can create the most beautiful dream, or your word can destroy everything around you. One edge is the misuse of the word, which creates a living hell. The other edge is the impeccability of the word, which will only create beauty, love, and heaven on earth, depending on how it is used. The word can set you free, or it can enslave you even more than you know. All the magic you possess is based on your word. Your word is pure magic, and misuse of your word is black magic. The word is so powerful that one word can change a life or destroy the lives of millions of people. Some years ago, one man in Germany, by the use of the word, manipulated a whole country of the most intelligent people. He led them into a world war with just the power of his word. He convinced others to commit the most atrocious acts of violence. He activated people's fear with the word, and like a big explosion, there was killing and war all around the world. All over the world, humans destroyed other humans because they were afraid of each other. Hitler's word, based on fear-generated beliefs and agreements, will be remembered for centuries. So as I was reading this again, because I read this, I think it was in the early 2000s. Just want you to think about that for a minute. How true is that? I mean, just think about the last 4 years alone. And all of the proven lies that were told to the public, and look at the consequences of that. There are still people saying that they believe the pandemic is a hoax, and people have died believing that because of some people's words. So words are magic, and words are powerful. And what's so interesting to me is, since I have reread the 4 agreements, this specific agreement has taken on new meaning for me. As many of you know who listen to my show or have contributed a manifesting postcard, how much I stress the importance of taking great care of the words we say, especially to ourselves. The words we use in our head about ourselves are so powerful in manifesting. You notice the words. It's easier when you see it in other people, right? You can see somebody talking and you can pick it out right away. It's harder when we're thinking of ourselves. So if you think of someone who is constantly negative or complains all the time, oh my goodness, I know so many people who complain all the time, and I have a really hard time listening to it now. I do a pretty good job of being conscious of not complaining. Not always, especially if I'm not feeling well. I may complain more than I usually do, but overall I don't complain much. Like I said, I try to be really conscious of it because I know my words have power, and I don't want to manifest more of what I don't want. And let me tell you, it takes a lot of practice, and I must constantly remind myself. Of course, it's easier when everything is going well, but when the challenges come up, and that's when we can really see how our work is paying off, right? When we're going through something difficult, how do we talk to ourselves? And when someone creates a manifesting postcard and sends it to me, many times I get a message that says, why hasn't it come yet? Or is it really true that we create our own reality? And I always ask, well, what are you saying to yourself? Or what are you saying out loud? And what are you saying to your friends and family? Are you complaining? Are you believing that you don't deserve it? Are these the things that you say? Are these the words that you use? And many times we don't realize it, that this is the dialogue that we're creating in our head. And you would be surprised how much we block what we want because we're constantly using words, as Don Miguel would say, dark magic or dark words. So if you keep telling yourself that you're always the victim or nothing works out for you, then you get to be right. I know someone, this is actually really true. I'm not making this up. It's crazy. I know someone who says they believe they are cursed. Well, can you imagine what shows up for that person if that's what they're saying to themselves? So you think you're cursed? That's what I'll ask the question, and they'll say, I think because so-and-so happens and so-and-so happens and all this bad stuff happens. And listen, a lot of stuff happens. I'm not saying it doesn't to this specific person, but it's because of the words that they use that help form the beliefs that they have. That just gets reiterated in their own mind, that gets reiterated when they talk to other people, so they just keep perpetuating that. So I said to the person who said this to me, maybe you want to stop saying that to yourself, that you're cursed. Why don't you shift it and say that I am blessed, I am blessed, I am blessed, and just see what happens. And like I said, it takes practice. So so that's what I tell people. And when you make the manifesting postcard and you send it, just keep saying to yourself that what you want is coming. That the words you use about it on a regular basis will help you manifest it faster. When we use empowering words that make us feel good, it makes us want to take inspired action, right? That's what happens. That's why so many people are in my book with their stories. Their dreams have come true because they practice being impeccable with their word. It's so powerful. And what's so funny to me is that I never noticed how this book, The 4 Agreements, would actually influence me so much from when I read it, probably in the early 2000s, until now. So I can draw. I mean, I really can. I was thinking about this because I reread it, especially yesterday. I was really diving into it yesterday. I can draw a direct line from the moment I saw this on Oprah and I saw him and read the book, got the book and read the book, to what I thought about then and where I was. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago now and how much I've changed to now. And it's amazing. It's incredible because everything that I do in my line of work now is about the power of my word, about what I'm saying, what I say to myself first, and how that shows up in my life. And my life has really shifted in so many ways. And I didn't really get that 20 years ago. I didn't understand it like I do now that I'm older and I'm more mature. So we're going to get ready for our break now. And I'm really excited because he's coming on. So stay tuned and I will be back in a couple of minutes. And we're going to bring out Don Miguel Ruiz. I'm so excited. Stay tuned.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
The rainbow is God's promise of hope for you and me. And though the clouds hang heavy and the sun we cannot see, we know above the dark clouds that fill the stormy sky, hope's rainbow will come shining through when the clouds have drifted by. Teresa Caprio is the president and founder of Rainbow Guardian Inc., a nonprofit 501c3 serving the intellectually challenged/developmentally disabled, including autism. Teresa started the foundation in 1995 so she could help make a better life for her intellectually challenged daughter. Her dream is that the Rainbow Guardian will provide the necessary tools and education to help the public understand the special needs population, because it's often discarded in mainstream society. To find out more or make a donation in support, please go to www.rainbowguardian.org. Rainbow Guardian's special mission is to see these unique people live a happy, full life and have a future of liberty and equality.
Okay, welcome back. So let's get right to it. Welcome, Don Miguel Ruiz. Thank you so much for being here with me today. As I am sure you have heard this many times, your book, The Four Agreements, really impacted me. And I think it was the first book of its kind that introduced me to these spiritual teachings. So I am so honored to have you. Thank you so much for joining me.
Well, it is my pleasure to start with you, and I'm very excited also. I think that we're going to have a lot of fun.
Me too. Well, before we get into your new book, The Actor, I always had this question, and I don't think I've ever heard you answer it, but what made you feel called to write the book, The Four Agreements?
Well, first I used to be a medical doctor. I practiced surgery, neurosurgery with one of my brothers. And at a certain point, I find out that there's something more important than be a doctor. And I decided to explore the mind. And I renounced to be a doctor and I started working with people for 10 years, exploring their mind. And the result was the Four Agreements. It was a big, big challenge because there was a lot of information that I have about how the mind works. And the challenge was to put everything in a very simple way and an easy way that anyone can understand it. And since the people who hardly went to school to the most intelligent people, and to make it as short that anyone can read it maybe in one couple of hours or 3 hours maximum. And to be that interesting that they have to read it again and again and again. It's so magical, this book.
Oh my God. I reread it this past week, and I don't think I've read it since I first saw you on Oprah Winfrey 20 years ago. And I've gotten so much more out of it now that I'm more mature, and it's from a different perspective than I did the first time. So it's just amazing. It's amazing. So I thank you for writing it. And I'm sure a lot of us do thank you because we've gotten so much out of it. Now, your latest book, The Actor, How to Live an Authentic Life, you co-wrote with Barbara Emrys, and that just came out at the end of 2020 in November. So what is it? What do you mean when you say to be the actor in our life?
Well, the truth is that every single human is an actor or actress, of course, and we're not even aware of that. We are acting all of the time. We are acting being what we believe we are, the way that we want to project ourselves and to be perceived for everybody else. Then we practice being ourselves for so many years that really becomes the best actor or actress, that easily we can win an Academy Award just to perform to be what we believe we are. Because we cannot be like anybody else yet. We can try to be like someone else, personify someone like Elvis Presley, Kennedy, whatever, but we cannot be anybody else. We only can be ourselves. And nobody can be us. We are unique. There's nobody like us. And we are acting since we was born, even if we didn't know. A whole stage was waiting for us when we were born. Everybody tried to hook our attention, and everybody tried to teaching us what they know. The first that we learned really was the language that we speak. And based on that language, we start creating a masterpiece of art, which is the story of our life. We are the ones who wrote the script and keep doing it in the present moment. And we perform to be the main actor or actress in our own story. When we discover that we are being acting all of our life, we also discover that everybody around us, they've been acting all of their life, but they don't know. And we can see also that the biggest fear that we have is the critics from everybody around. We perform from them. We try to hook their attention, and we are susceptible for whatever they think about us. That's why it's so important for us, everybody else's opinion. And we don't even notice that we become the biggest critic in our own head. There's no one like us. When we are alone, we criticize the way we acting, and we say, oh, I should do this, I shouldn't do that. But you know what is very interesting? Once that you know that you're acting all of your life, and that you know that you was trying to please everybody else's opinions, then you no longer keep believing in the opinions that they have about you. And more, you are being yourself, because you find out that your physical body becomes the first priority. And it's something that we live from second, third, or fourth priority. We try to please others. We sacrifice ourselves for everybody else's opinion. But once we have that awareness, that start changing, and we start recovering something that we learned, that we lost a long time ago, which is the authenticity, to be ourselves. And we see that as more authentic we are, it's less important whatever anybody else think about us, because now we know exactly what we want and what we don't want. And we also appreciate the company of the other actors and actresses who play a role with us, trying to adapt it to the scenery, to the stage in the one we live. And we also notice that we, as an actor or actress, we are always fitting in whatever stage we are working with. And we also see that the stage is changing all the time. It's not the same. Like the stage that we had when we was 12 years old is completely different than when we was 15 or 20 or now. It keeps changing gradually, but it's always changing. And sometimes the change of the is so dramatic, like last year, when this pandemic happened in the entire planet Earth. It was so difficult for many of us to adapt to the new circumstances. We lose so many things, like jobs, whatever. Many people died that we lost. But we see that we adapt to whatever circumstance, whatever challenge life brings to us. And with that awareness, it's easier for all of us to even enjoy the changes that is happening around us. Then I think it's extremely important to be aware that we are acting all the time, and it's okay, because it's not really an insult or anything that someone say, oh, you're acting. No, yes, we are acting, and it's okay, but everybody else are acting. And we got so upset when we cannot control our own acting. Then it's a very interesting book to read and to study and to practice, really.
So you're basically saying we're the star of our own movie. But what I think is, why is it so many of us find that so hard to understand, and then we end up playing out the scripts that other people have given us?
This is because we try to please them. We sacrifice the main actor, try to please other people. But when we discover that we are acting, and we discover that we are the ones who wrote the script, we also see that we can change it. We can take away whatever we don't like, and adopt whatever we really want, then life becomes very exciting when you have that awareness.
Yes, that is so very, very true. And I know you've mentioned, and I've seen you wrote about this, and I think it was in the 4 Agreements, but I've seen you talk about it before. You said that people feel safer when they suffer. And that really struck me. Like, I was like, really? And I can see that, but what you mean, but why do we feel safer when we suffer? Is it because we're acting out somebody else's script and we don't have to take accountability?
Well, the thing is that when we grow up, wherever we turn our face, we see people suffering. And we see them using any excuse to suffer and to complain. That to suffer becomes a big addiction, and we become addicted to suffer. And if we're not suffering, we are looking for something to make us suffer. You know, it's amazing, but yes, we are addicted to suffering. And when we have that awareness, we can stop that because we don't have to suffer. We can enjoy every moment of our life. We can enjoy the script that we do to ourselves.
Interesting. Do we cast the actors in our own script? Do we cast them?
Well, not really. We never choose. Like we was born, our parents were already there, brothers, sisters, and they live in their own in their own script.
Okay.
They create their own, and they are the main actor or actresses in their own script, like you are in yours. You know, that is so magical that we can exchange opinions and work together and get many things done. And yes, we need the other actors, a whole company of actors, in order to accomplish what we try to do in life.
I find the concept so interesting. But what's really interesting is I noticed that in your books, you say a lot of the same messages, the core messages, and you just teach us in different ways to look at it. So maybe somebody will get it in the actor, you know, now, or somebody may get it in the 4 Agreements. And I love when you said impeccable with your word. And the first time I read it, I took it as I'm going to do something. If I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. But this is much deeper than that. And you mean that words have much, and you mean words have power. And I really got that this time around because I'm basing my work on this very thing with my books and this show. And I love how you say the word magic. Magic is my favorite word. I say it all the time. And how we can use our words as, you know, powerful white magic or dark magic. So when you say the word impeccable, just for those listening today, what do you mean by being impeccable?
Well, it means that you never go against yourself. That is the most important part of impeccable. You never, ever go against yourself. You never be alliance with people who go against you. No, because you are betraying yourself. Then you are impeccable. The word impeccable means without sin. And sin is to do something against yourself. You know, when you're acting or doing something against somebody, whatever you do, it will come back to you. Then now, because you love yourself so much, you will not do anything to anybody because you know it will come back.
Right, because I do remember when you said, so interesting, when you said, when people abuse you, it's because you have abused yourself.
Yes,
because
you only can accept the abuse until the point that you abuse yourself. If someone abused you a little more, it's the moment that you left. But if someone abused you a little less than that, you stay there because you feel that you deserve to be abused at that point.
Wow. So I was reading that this book, The Actor, is part of the Mystery School series. So what is the Mystery School series and its teachings? If you could share that with us.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a series of, at least for now, 4 books. And it's about to develop the mysteries, to reveal the mysteries of life. Then I compare Mystery School like a big university, which is the entire planet Earth. And it can go in so many different directions, but there's only one teacher, and that teacher is life. And life is teaching each one of us. Is revealing every secret one by one. And according of our needs or curiosity, we go in different directions in our life. And when we start something, it will be a big mystery until it's revealed and then becomes something that we use all the time. It's no longer a mystery, but we are going in all those different directions in life. We are always revealing more and more secrets. This is, just to be alive is the most interesting thing that can happen to us. It's so exciting to see what is next and what is next and what is next. And we keep learning and learning and learning. And of course, teaching and teaching and teaching. We teach what we know. We cannot teach what we know, but we learn what we don't know until the unknown becomes the known. And it's just an ongoing, and life is teaching everything. Life teaches through our parents. It teaches to speak, to the language that we speak. In elementary school, life teaches through our teachers, and we learn mathematics, language, whatever. And in any direction, life is going to teach us in the mouth of other people. And many times we teach ourselves once that our mind is prepared for that. And we discover many other secrets without anybody else really reveal it to us, but life itself.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, I know you can't stay with us the whole show. So and we're going to be coming up to a commercial break in just a little bit. Is there anything that you want to share with us before you go about your newest book, The Actor, that you think that we really need to know about it?
Well, there's something that Barbara Emrys and I are doing once a week for the next 3 more weeks. And we're talking about The Actor online. Then if you guys go into my website, you will see that information, and everybody's welcome. It's for free. Is welcome to join us in the study of this book, The Actor.
Yeah, I was as I was preparing for today's show, I was actually listening to it as I was getting ready. It's great. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful. And I just want to thank you so much, Don Miguel. Having you share this space with me today has meant so much to me personally, and I'm sending you lots of love and success with your new book, The Actor, How to Live an Authentic Life. And I so appreciate you and your work and everything you do. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yes, and thank you very much. And all the love goes back to you, and even more. That's what you're saying.
Oh, I can feel that. Thank you. Okay, guys, stay tuned, everyone. And I'm going to be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
Coping-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Welcome back. Wasn't that awesome? I wish I could have had him for longer, but I will take what I can get. And he was gracious enough to come for a segment of the show, so I am thrilled about that. So yeah, check out his newest book, The Actor. It's really interesting. And seriously, if you go over to his website, you can watch the videos. They're really, really fascinating. Okay, so I'm going to keep talking about, for the rest of the show, the 4 agreements. And this next agreement, don't take anything personally. Right? This is a tough one. Okay, so I'm going to read to you what he writes in this book. The next 3 agreements are really born from the first. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. Whatever happens around you, don't take it personally. Using an earlier example, if I see you on the street and I say, hey, you are so stupid without knowing you, it's not about you. It's about me. If you take it personally, then perhaps you believe you are stupid. Maybe you think to yourself, how does he know? Is he clairvoyant? Or can everybody see how stupid I am? You take it personally because you agree with whatever was said. As soon as you agree, the poison goes through you and you are trapped in a dream of hell. What causes you to be trapped is what we call personal importance. Personal importance, or taking things personally, is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. During the period of our education or our domestication, we learn to take everything personally. We think we are responsible for everything. Me, 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 me. Nothing other people do is because of you. It is because of themselves. So interesting, right? I never thought about it that way before, but that we take things personal and then we make it all about me. It really never occurred to me to think of it that way, but it's true. And let me tell you, this one is a challenge. How many of us can do this? If I think about every person I know, I don't know anyone personally who can do this 100% of the time. I do know a few people who can do it better than others. I know some who take everything personal, and you could see it. I know some people that you always have to weigh your words with them because they take everything as a personal criticism, even when you may not be doing that. It's frustrating, and I'm sure, those of you who have those people in your life, you sort of have to take a step back, right? Because you may not have the patience for it anymore. Many of us are very unconscious of what we are doing. It's crazy. And he even made this statement in the book, and I highlighted it because I didn't remember it the first time, and I was like, whoa. He says, and this is a quote, a direct quote, "Even if someone got a gun and shot you in the head, it was nothing personal, even at that extreme," end quote. And I was like, oh yeah, no way am I anywhere near that. No way. Not even close. So as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, is this the evolution of where we are going to get to these to spiritual teachings that we actually live there? And so then I'm like, well, when we get to this place in our human consciousness that we actually could not take it personal if someone shoots us or attacks us, we are going to be living in a society where those things don't happen anymore anyway, right? Because we wouldn't need to attack or hurt anyone else. Because like he said, like when Don Miguel was talking about his newest book, and he said, when you love yourself, right, you don't do those things to others. So none of those things would happen. So once we master it and get there, we won't need to do it, which is kind of interesting. So can you look at certain things right now in your life that you're having a hard time not taking personally? And can you try to see a situation that's currently going on and you apply this agreement? And I need to keep reminding myself and trying, and because this one is tough. I find this one really tough. If somebody comes at me and says very hurtful things, for me not to take it personally, but I have to remind myself it's not about me, it's about them. So with the next agreement, don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth, and we could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking. We take it personally. Then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our word. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make an assumption, we misunderstand, and we take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole world of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions. It's always better to ask questions than to make an assumption, because assumptions set us up for suffering. So think of that one. How many of us do that with everyone? Someone was sharing something with me, actually not that long ago, about an assumption he made about his friend, and he was all up in arms that that person was doing this and saying that and not doing this and not doing that. And I was like, well, are you sure about this? And he said, no, but I just assume from how they are. So I said, well, instead of getting yourself all frustrated and up in arms and hurt, why don't you just go to the person and ask them about the situation? And he didn't want to do that. So I said, all right, well, you would rather cause yourself pain and anger, and what you are assuming may not even be true. So I said that to him a few times, and it took him a few days, but he finally went to his friend and found out that, of course, what he assumed was completely false. It had nothing to do with him at all. And I said, and I actually, we're such good friends, and I just laughed because I know him so well. And I said, see, you could have saved yourself precious time and energy if you would not have assumed and just asked. And, you know, when we do that, we can't get that time back, right? And what does that do to our bodies? All that stress, you know? So how many of us do this? We do it all so much. And I find what's interesting is this happens quite a lot. And I don't know if you guys see this with technology now because of text messages. Do you know how many times text messages are misinterpreted because we can't hear the inflection of the tone of the text. So if someone responds in a quick, short text back to us, we may assume they're annoyed with us, having no idea what they may be in the middle of or may not have time to respond. An assumption. They may be like super busy or really bad at text messages. You know, because I'm not great at responding always right away. Sometimes I forget to, you know. And I always look at it like I always used to say about the phone. I look at a phone call as a request and a text message as a request. It's not a demand. So if I'm in the middle of something, I'm honoring my time. You know, it has nothing to do with the other person. So I just find that happens a lot with the assumption. So that's why I wanted to point it out. So do you make some assumptions in your life somewhere? Or are you assuming maybe somebody may not like you because you aren't talking as much as you used to with them? Or maybe, you know, maybe they're just really busy, or maybe they have some serious challenges going on that you just aren't aware of. And what about the assumptions we make about people who think differently than us? I know I do that. I have to claim that I do that. I have to watch it. I know we probably all have to watch that, but for sure, people who think differently than I make judgments and assumptions. So I have to catch myself. Okay, so the last one, number 4, is always do your best. And it's one that allows the other 3 to become deeply ingrained habits. The 4th agreement is about the action of the first 3. Always do your best under any circumstances. Always do your best. No more and no less. But keep in mind that your best is never going to be the same from one moment to the next. And that is very true. Everything is alive and changing all the time. So your best will sometimes be high quality and not be or upset, angry, or jealous. And that is very true. Just do your best in any circumstances in your life. It doesn't matter if you are sick or tired. If you always do your best, there is no way you can judge yourself. And if you don't judge yourself, there is no way you are going to suffer from guilt, blame, and self-punishment. By always doing your best, you will break a big spell that you have been under. I think many of us are already doing that. We're always doing our best, depending on what's going on in our lives and how we feel. Our best changes. Sometimes my best is awesome and I'm feeling great and accomplishing so many things on my list that I want to do. And other times, especially when I'm not feeling good, my best may be just to answer that email. And that's all I can do that day. For those with major health issues or depression, maybe their best is just getting through the day. Our best changes as we change. And I'm really conscious of trying to do my best in any situation. And I've gotten much better at not beating myself up. If some days my best is not all that much, we beat ourselves up way too much. And Don Miguel talks about that in all of his books, how we abuse ourselves and much worse than anyone else can abuse us, and how we beat ourselves up. And we really have to learn how to love ourselves better. You know, that's what his teachings are really about, is being authentic and loving ourselves and honoring ourselves. And because when we do that, we honor others, right? I mean, he gets it. Like, I wish I had more time with him, because I would have said, hey, do you really never take anything personally? How do you do that? You know, is it just practice? That one, I think, is, like I said, is really hard. And I bet you he probably never takes anything personally anymore. You know, maybe not always that way, but I bet you now he is, from all his years of teaching. So do you see where you can have some more compassion for yourself? And can you set the intention that you're going to have more compassion for yourself? Maybe do that. And when you look at Don Miguel Ruiz's new book, The Actor, How to Live an Authentic Life, if you're interested in mastering the art of life, remember 3 important lessons. You are acting all the time. You believe the roles you play, and you believe the roles that others play. God, that's so interesting, right? We believe the roles that we play, and we believe others in the roles that we play. Like, intellectually, I get it. I see it. It makes sense. I understand it. But applying it my actual life is more of the challenge. So I'm just going to read to you what is on the jacket of the book. Dramatic art represents the first course in a series of mystery school books by Don Miguel Ruiz and Barbara Emrys. Using a classroom setting, this fascinating course explores human behavior from the point of view of the artists. Artists reflect life. Artists mirror the human condition, and they share their vision with the world. There are many kinds of artists, but this course is about acting and actors. Acting is our first learned skill, even before language, and even before we stand up to walk. We begin our lives as mimics. We watch, we listen, and we imitate. We are natural performers, and we spend our lives perfecting the craft. Dramatic art explores the human drama as well as the role each of us plays in it. Performance art is a way of life for each of us, and it has shaped our common dream. We choose the roles we play in different situations and for different people. We can also step away from those roles, and we can claim our authenticity. I love it. I love it. So we'll be watching more of these classes. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And thank you, Don Miguel Ruiz, for being with me today. It was an honor. Please, guys, follow me on social media and join my Facebook group, Postcards of Love, where we share inspirational messages and beautiful art photographs. And find me on YouTube, where you can start listening to these shows that I've made into podcasts, and subscribe. Thanks for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, creating the life you crave. Wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, love. Peace.